Yeah, it's anybody's competition in semi-final. Latest is anybody's competition. You need momentum. You need players fit. You need luck in the games. You know, when you just look at our score sheet last week, we have two guys who score their first goal, I think, in Champions League ever, the first goal in the competition, and then you watch the others and you see Kylian Mbappé score, or Neymar score, or Benzema score, or Salah score. That's like the 100th goal or the 50th goal in the competition, and you see that we arrive with a very young team. And we want to turn it around. And what a young team can always do is fight, run, hang in there, and take it like an adventure for them. It's a big step to be in semi-final. This is it's a very, very big achievement. And you see when Chelsea has been last time in semi-final. So we are not used to be there. And once you are there, you play for the final.
Very different stylistically. Chelsea from Manchester City, and the way that they've got into the semi-final is different. But it's just been... they're so resolute under Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
The defeat...
The West Brom we'll put to the side, but it's really coincidental how, you know, the managers that come in somewhere halfway through, like we've seen them get to the finals with Di Matteo, and, you know, they got to Avram Grant, and they got to the semis with Hiddink, and now you've got Thomas Tuchel coming in, who's really sorted out. The defence does seem very much more now watertight, even though we saw what happened with West Brom can happen. But that's just the Premier League. If you're not up for it on a certain day, and they get that, you'll get beaten by the team in bottom place in the Premier League. But what he's done and the way they played against Palace was really quite impressive. I know it was a Palace side that just... You know, I don't know what to say. Palace can we just finish this now? But like Chelsea were very impressive. Kai Havertz, I thought, was very impressive. Christian Pulisic, you know, somebody can get in the box and score. Kai Havertz could have easily scored 3 or 4 goals that game. So that's the kind of performance I'm thinking Chelsea should look at, because they pass the ball a lot quicker. You can't not mention Mason Mount and what he brings, and they just seem like a dangerous side. So, you know, you can't write Chelsea out of this, especially with this coincidence of these managers taking over halfway through and they get to Champions League finals.
Yeah, that is just how it happens. There has been this, the comparisons with Jose Mourinho's classic Chelsea side the first time around. Not that they're the same, but that there are similarities in that they are a team who are very much based on solid defence, and that, you know, it's about getting 1-0 wins, and it's about those kind of close matches. It's not... They do have attacking players in there. It's not the same as Jose Mourinho's Chelsea, but there are some similarities in there.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think, if I remember correctly, it was me and Owen when we watched the Chelsea game, when the front four played outstanding. It was the best chemistry I've seen in the Chelsea attack, I think, since Tuchel took over. Normally, I wouldn't say it's boring, but it's stagnant. It's like defence, get the ball to the attack, Mason Mount make something happen, and Chelsea get a 1-0 goal, which they win. But it was weird to see, because at times in that game, we noticed that it was almost like a team of defence, which don't go nowhere, with the two in front, and then you had your attack, which was just rotating and nice passages of play and link up, and it was delightful for me to see, based off the earlier start where I didn't see that much in attack. So it's a lot to do, I found, in the Chelsea attack with the personnel. I think the defence, since he's come in, has been outstanding. That they seem to want to put their body in front of everything at the minute, which is always a good thing. And just in attack, the way they just get the ball, it was nice and fluent. And in the Champions League, I thought it was a professional performance. They did enough to get through, whereas I think against Real Madrid, they're going to have to express themselves a lot more to win that game.
You do feel, Kels, that they, you know, the way they're playing, they just need someone to score chances, half chances, to take it, because they're getting to a certain place in the field where you're thinking, the Chelsea are looking very good here. But then, you know, Kai Havertz, who's playing that...
he's come good, hasn't he?
He has come good, but I always thought he would come good with the calibre of player he is. But it's the position that he's got to play. It's the position you're going to play him in that's going to be his most potent. I thought it was great against Palace because he went into areas where they just didn't pick him up, and he's got a lot of ability. You know, he's able to cause problems there, whereas You look at like a Real Madrid, they'll be able to deal with that. They're going to need, for me, in this game, they could play like that, they could be resolute at the back, and but they're going to need that somebody who could take that half chance, because Real Madrid know how to win these games. They know how to win these games, whoever they're playing against. And they're going to need somebody to be very clinical for me on that day.
Yeah, that's the issue with Chelsea, is that they have an excellent goal scorer in the team, or in the squad rather, who isn't scoring excellently at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Ian's talked about the Crystal Palace game. When Chelsea went 3 goals up, I mean, this is looking very ominous. I thought they were going to score 4 or 5. And when you watch this Chelsea team, the really interesting thing is Thomas Tuchel made a mockery of the transitional period for managers, right? They weren't meant to be this good that quickly. We were all sort of discussing, next season, they have a pre-season, then he can put his principles in. But he's come in, he's like, no, we're going to make sure we have 5 men behind the ball, out when we're out of possession. The shape is resolute. When one of those 5 men is N'Golo Kante, you've got a platform to do so many good things. And this front 3 against Crystal Palace with Kai Havertz as the false 9, you've got Pulisic on the left, and you've got Mason Mount, all Cho on the right. They've got options, and it's been really interesting. I mean, Ian and I have spoken about how Tuchel sort of ticked off every attacking player one by one, going, right, I'll fix Havertz, then I'll fix Hudson-Odoi, then I'll fix this gentleman. I haven't quite fixed Werner. And it's sort of, the interesting for me was he left Pulisic till last. Probably because...
He knows him, you think?
Yeah, they knew, you gave him his debut at Dortmund. I went, don't worry, wait your turn. I know what you're about. But now he's brought Pulisic in. Those rotations are really, really important. Mason Mount is so good off the ball. And I think it just depends on, in terms of a goal scorer, it feels weird to say, but Olivier Giroud is there and is still phenomenal in terms of link-up play and making those near-post runs. And he's a nuisance to teams. Real Madrid are very, they've been there before. They've got that maturity and whatnot, and they can just have 2 or 3 minute spells where they're on the ball and try and take it away from us. But there is something about Chelsea where, even if you did try and take the ball from for 2 minutes, N'Golo Kante's not going to get bored. He's going to chase it, and eventually something will happen.
It took me a good 15 seconds to work out that Cho was Callum Hudson. I'm still looking, who are they talking about? Right, let's take a look at Chelsea's fixtures and what they've got coming up, because this has the potential to be a fantastic season for Chelsea. They've got Manchester City this weekend. They've got Brighton, West Ham, Fulham to come in the league. They've got the games coming up against Real Madrid, which they are Real Madrid. They might not be vintage Real Madrid, but they are still Real Madrid at the semi-finals of the Champions League stage. This could be a really good end to the season for them.
Yeah, but that's still pretty tough. I think that's quite tough. But like the way they're playing and how the resolute nature in which they're playing at the moment, and what I saw of those front 3, the front 3 of Callum Hudson-Odoi and Havertz and Pulisic, they will cause problems to most of those teams. I'm not saying Real Madrid and that because of the experience and the way they'll be able to deal with them. The same with the Man City, but everyone else, I think they'll cause them problems. But it's still quite tough. That is still quite a tough.
It's the Fulham game in between the Real Madrid tie, where you can imagine Tuchel will use that as a tune-up, rest some of the players and whatnot. But I was very much not expecting Chelsea to be there or thereabouts in the top 4 this quickly, and the fact he's done it through not the most exciting football, but just methodical, simple,
they do look sharp.
There are some quite exciting players in there, but you're right. The sort of the blueprint for it is fairly solid.
It seems very sharper when they're getting the ball. They're passing it at a quicker rate. It feels like they're making it move, and it's one of the things you have to say with Chelsea, with Frank Lampard's Chelsea, that it was very slow. They weren't getting into teams quick enough. Whereas he seems to get the ball up there, and then you just want those guys to kick in. But I like the way that they're playing at the moment. I just don't know if they'll have enough for a Real Madrid side who are very experienced at this level. But
it is that sense of, like you said, but putting a really professional performance in as well, that they can use that blueprint in order to just close a game off as they did in the second leg. I know Porto scored, but it was late on. It was a ridiculous goal. It was just an amazing goal. But it was just one of those occurrences. But otherwise, that was pretty much a 0-0 game. That looked like it was the aim of that. Just do not let them pass.
Agreed. It definitely has to be a professional performance. But I think if the front four, whoever they may be at that time, move the ball around as quick as they did, 1 and 2 touch against Palace, I think with the quality behind it, I think there's enough there to cause the teams in the Champions League a lot of problems. So for me, as long as they keep that way of playing and defend the way they have been defending, as we all know, I think they'll do fine. And I think Real Madrid could possibly struggle with that.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to see what happens, and especially depending on whether Sergio Ramos is back as well from injury. That's going to be because they miss him hugely.
Yes.
Yes, a bit of chaos.
They do need that little bit of chaos, but it's looking good for both Manchester City and for Chelsea in the Champions League. They're into the semi-finals, and of course they face each other in the FA Cup semi-final this weekend. Up next,